Hi again then guys, and welcome to another special Projects Replica build, and this is actually a build which I only decided to do a few hours ago, so I quickly scrambled together the replica of the visual side of the car, then set to work on the tuning side, and I'm pretty happy with the result. And that's coming from someone who isn't really a fan of the tuner car, in particular on Gran Turismo 6. Now the car in question was a very popular one, the MiNE's BNR34 Skyline. Very powerful, 591 horsepower, I think it had. You can't get that much power, unfortunately. It's 592, that's as close as you can get. And as far as the weight, it's about a kilo off, 1,340 kilos. But again, it's pretty close. It's more than close enough. And of course, it goes without saying that this tune is, as with all of my replicas, like the 911 GT3 replica, the Avro Ford GT, they're more about the fun factor, but you can use them to race if you want to, generally speaking. Now, I've got traction control turned off, and I would strongly recommend turning it off. You can have so much fun if you do. Now, I'm running on Sport Softs, because it's kind of a mix of a drifter and a performance car. It's not optimized for drifting, but as you'll see later on in the vid, you can definitely drift this if you want to. As far as the suspension, we've dropped the ride height to 110, which isn't slammed, of course, because the actual car isn't slammed either. The frequency we've increased to 1.85, the anti-roll to 6 and 5, the dampers on compression we've increased to 63, then we've left them on 90 for the rebound, neutral camber, neutral toe, you really don't need those in this car. I'm running the maximum rear downforce, but it's not a huge amount, so that's down to you. You can have it lower if you want to. As far as the diff, I've got it as low as possible on everything. Now, of course, you could go for something else if you want to, but I would strongly recommend trying that out. This is one of the most fun replicas I've done so far. We've only done 3 on this game, but still, it's a very fun car to drive, completely different to the Avro and the Porsche. As far as the gearbox, I've actually left it stock, because you're running the same ratios that the car had anyway, plus there is a very important benefit that it sounds a lot better. Instead of the whine of the straight cut gearbox, the race gearbox, you've got the much more accurate sounding when you change gear, which sounds great from this car. That's exactly how it should sound, just like a Top Secret Super or something like that. Now, as far as the visuals, which of course is at least 50% component of this build, you can get this replica on a number of storefronts. Well, they're not storefronts, but you know what I mean, community pages. But you can get it on mine. I've done this replica, you can see it in the thumbnail, you can see it on the car in just a second, so if you want to find it, of course just get it from my community page at CORRUPTEDDISC, or just search the tag HSG in the livery section. Now, if you check out this video later on, and you can't find it, just go to the search, and then click through the older pages until you find it. But for the moment at least, like for the next day or so of the release of this video, you'll find it pretty easily. So, check that out. Of course, if you want to get a different one or build it yourself, that's entirely up to you, but I'm very happy with the visual representation of it. And so, all that remains, of course, is to show you guys what it can do when you actually drive it in anger. Now, as I said, I'm not a huge fan of the MiNE's BNR34, or in fact any of the MiNE's models really on Gran Turismo 6. They are very, very good aftermarket cars, and I respect them for that. They're just not among my personal favourites. They're one of those brands which is kind of like Tommy Kyra. They just make really good cars. They're a little bit more understated, but also kind of classy when it comes to aftermarket cars. They don't have stupid body kits and ridiculous even rear wings. They can probably use grammar too, which is a step above me, and they are fantastic cars around the track. Now this one is, but with the diff setup that I'm using, and of course with these tyres on Sports Hards, it'll probably be even better. This is such a fun car to drive. Now it sounds fantastic, the performance is great, it's an N600 car. Not that that matters too much, but you can use it to race for sure if you want to. The handling is nice and loose. It's got a really nice squirreliness to it, but in a good way. It's not difficult to control, but it's very playful. The car shifts around a lot on the road. It's very precise. Everything you do, the car responds immediately. if you want to drift the thing, I wouldn't recommend throwing it into a corner because it's just got too much grip for that, but if you pull the e-brake, or the handbrake as we call it in Europe, you can really easily get the tail out and hold a nice little drift. It won't hold a long drift like something like a Sylvia would, but for technical drifting, like 90-degree turns, city tracks, Gymkhana style stuff, it's great for that. So overall, if you do decide to use it, I guarantee you will have a ton of fun with the tune alone, but of course just adding the visuals will make it even better. So check that out from my community page if you want to make the full package complete. And that's it for this build. So if you are unfamiliar with my special projects tunes, check out the Porsche that we already did, the 911 GT3 RS, and of course the Avro 720 Mirage based on the Ford GT. So if you want to check out other tunes apart from those, you can click through and see them all at the end, but for now, as always,